And all I know is you'll find when you do what you do. And babe, I wanna make you mine. When I see those hips move, I'm thinking, damn girl, yeah.
Hey guys, what's going on? My name's David, this is DB Tech, and a while back I made a video about the Gamdias Hermes E2 mechanical RGB keyboard, and Gamdias liked it just enough that they sent me another keyboard to take a look at, so that's what we're going to do today. So I've been using the Ares P1 RGB keyboard for a few days now, and I really like a lot of things about it. But there are a few things that I'm not such a big fan of, and we'll cover that. Unlike the Hermes keyboard, this is a full 108 key layout. It's got the 10 key, which I really appreciate. That was one thing where I thought the Hermes could have done a little bit better, was having that 10 key. This has it, and I really, really dig that. Also, this is a membrane keyboard. It's not mechanical, so depending on what your preferences are there, that could be a pro or a con depending on what your preference is. But the one thing I can say about membrane keyboards is, of course, they're much, much quieter than a mechanical keyboard. Like I mentioned earlier, this is an RGB keyboard, so there are several profiles that you can use to change the way the keys light up, the patterns, the motion, that sort of thing, so that you can get something that looks really good for you. Or you can pick a standard color, just any color you want, using the RGB numbers or the picker that's in there to go and select the color that you want for your keyboard. Another thing I really like about this keyboard is it's got dedicated buttons for shortcuts as well as media keys. But there's one little thing about the media keys that kind of throws me off a little bit. If you're looking at the media keys from left to right, it is play, pause, mute, volume up, and then volume down. And in my opinion, those two buttons are backwards, but you get used to it after a while, as I've discovered over the past several days. So at the top left of the keyboard, there are some additional shortcut keys, like I mentioned earlier, like My Computer, Home, as far as like your home page, search, and email. They all work exactly like you would expect. But the one thing that I can say about both of these shortcut keys and the media keys is they're red. Which I'm not a big fan of. In my opinion, it kind of detracts from the rest of the keyboard. And more than that, they don't light up. There's no RGB behind them. So if you're playing with different themes and modes and things like that on your lights, these won't do anything. In fact, they won't even show up in a dark room. And I wish that they had done something just a little bit different with that. One other thing to mention, if you were wondering, there is no USB pass-through at all. This is a USB 2 board, so there's no USB 3 on it anywhere. There's not even a USB 2 pass-through. I was kind of disappointed in that. I wish they had just taken a little bit extra time to put that pass-through there. That way you could plug in your mouse or your phone or whatever the case may be without having to reach back to the back of your computer. So let's talk about the keys for just a second. I don't mean the layout or anything like that. I actually mean the construction and the aesthetic of the keys themselves. They feel good, both from a texture perspective as well as when you press them. They've got just the right amount of resistance to them, in my opinion. But because of the way the keycaps were made or injected or whatever, when you're looking at the letters when the keyboard is lit up, you can actually see some of where the keycap clips into the keyboard itself, and it kind of detracts from the letters themselves. It's kind of weird. I know it's very, very nitpicky, but I think they could have changed the way the keycap connects to everything and avoided that. But unfortunately, they didn't. The last little set of quirks that I'll talk about here is actually on the keys themselves, where you do most of your typing. The Enter key is kind of a UK or Nordic, and I don't even know. Like, I ended up going to Reddit and posting a picture, and lots of people had lots of ideas, but the best we can come up with is this is a custom layout as far as the Enter key and that sort of thing. I can say that I hit the backslash button a lot when I'm sending messages, just because I'm used to the long Enter key, whereas this is tall, and it's just weird to get used to for me. If you're used to this kind of key already, you're going to be fine. But it took me a while to not hit that backslash button every time I was looking for the Enter key. Also, right below that, there is a right-click key. This was also on the mechanical keyboard I reviewed. I don't know why people put right-click keys on their keyboard. It just doesn't make sense to me, but to each their own, I suppose. And then just immediately to the left of that is the Windows key. It's on the right side instead of on the left side. I kind of wish they had swapped the Function key and the Windows key to put the Windows key back on the left side like you're used to. I know some people are going to say, but if you're gaming, you may accidentally bump that. There's actually a Windows key lockout feature, so you don't necessarily have to worry about that as much. So I don't know why they put the Windows key on the right side. They did. And again, it just takes a little getting used to. One last thing I forgot to mention, and I only realized it while I was editing, is that this actually has some drain holes in the bottom of it. So it kind of works with the membrane thing. So if you drop your drink or spill something on the keyboard, it will actually drain out much easier and hopefully cause less damage to your keyboard. Okay, so there you have it. There are all the quirks and features to the Ares P1 RGB keyboard from Gamdias. And I want you to tell me in the comment section down below, knowing everything you know about this keyboard now, is this something you would buy? Is it something you're interested in? I'd love to know all that in the comment section down below. I will also have links to this, so you can go buy one of these online. So definitely go check that out. Also, if you're interested in merch, the shirt I'm wearing, you can only kind of see it. I'll throw something on the screen here. If you're interested in picking up some merch to help out the channel, definitely go do that. I'll have links to that in the description as well, and a few other ways you can support the channel if you want to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up here. Thanks for your time. I always appreciate your support, and I'll talk to you in the next video.